All right, let's see. All right, so I have moved into my room, and I don't see anyone joining me yet, but I am hoping you all will give me another chance and come on back. But if not, at least you'll have this video as a reference. And so I'm just going to kind of start from the beginning, but I'm going to just kind of speed things along. We are talking about embroidery service contracts, okay, and why it is important to have for your embroidery business, the benefits of an embroidery service contract, and how much it helps your customer and it helps you at the same time. Okay, so we were discussing exactly what an embroidery service contract is. So let's define it as an embroidery service contract is an agreement for embroidery services requested by the customer, paid for by the customer, and provided by you. Okay, so pretty much for the most part, it gives a clear understanding on what everyone's doing here, everyone that is involved in this transaction. Okay, and so you need it for your business because number one, it provides, a clear understanding, but it can also be served as a reference guide as well. Okay, and so sometimes, if you are not clear on what an embroidery service contract is, don't be intimidated by it. Okay, I don't want you to be intimidated by it. A lot of the times people hear the word contract and they get nervous. All right, I found that embroidery business owners, for one, they get nervous when they hear the word contract. If you don't want to use a contract to the customer because it makes you feel uncomfortable, use the word agreement. Okay, but you need it. So number one, like I said, it does provide a clear understanding of what everyone is doing. Okay, it provides a clear understanding for the customer about the services that they are requesting. It provides a clear understanding for the customer about the expectations that you are providing from your company. All right, and once again, it tells you exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and it keeps everyone in agreement of what is supposed to be done here. All right, and so I also wanted to talk about, what should be on an embroidery service contract, okay? Before I get into that, I just want to briefly say thank you all for returning back and for your patience. I'm hoping that things work out in this room. I came back into the embroidery room. My husband and my son convinced me that it would be better for me to do it out there. No, I don't know what's going on with that side of the house, but no. So anyway, let's go back into it. And so the embroidery contract should state your information. It doesn't have to be at the top, the bottom, the side, or the right side, or in the middle, but it should have your information because the customer should have a way to contact you if they have a question and so forth. A way to contact you could be email if you don't have a telephone number, or it could be both. Okay, even if it is at your home and you're providing your home address on your embroidery service contract, I'm not sure how I feel. Have a P.O. box, a mailing address, but if you are comfortable with that, then you have to do what's best for you. The only thing is when you don't have a way for them to contact you electronically, like for your telephone, or it kicked me off. Wait, it kicked me off for no reason. I don't know what happened. Okay, so maybe it is the rain, maybe it wasn't the location. Okay, all right, I'm going to keep going. I think I'm lagging though because it says that the video output is very low, but the time is still going, so it must be still recording at this point. Kind of freezing, yeah. I see that I'm kind of freezing because it tells me that it's the video output is low. I'm not sure what's going on here tonight, other than it is raining really badly here. Anyways, once again, if you have your address on your embroidery service contract, what's going to happen is people are going to show up at your house for a silly question like, can I change the thread color? Unexpectedly. And so you always want to have a way that clients have a way to contact you without having to show up at your home. I'm sorry, it is still saying that the video output is low, which means that it may be lagging, but I'm just going to continue because it have not froze on me. All right. And so the contract should also state what the client is ordering. All right. And so if it's a shirt, don't just write shirt. You want to write what kind of shirt is it. If it's a polo shirt, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a button-down shirt, you want to include as much information as possible. All right. But I do want to go back and state that if you don't have something that's generated in a computer, you can also use one of those invoice books that you get at Walmart. You just want to make sure that you write all of the details regarding this order on this invoice slip, because that may help you and provide a clear understanding and avoid misunderstandings in the long run. But overall, the contract should state what the client is ordering. Like I said, what item it is, if it's a t-shirt, sweatshirt, and so forth. The personalization request should be clearly stated. The thread color should be stated. Now, fonts is different, because if you are writing something out, you can't possibly show the client what you have unless you have something in your phone if you're doing a face-to-face sale. So you may want to even put on the embroidery contract, if you're writing it out, that you will contact them or follow up with them regarding the font. Okay, I do put the personalization request on the electronic forms that I use. All right, but for the most part, that's just for my reference. The client don't know if I'm using the Maya font from Stitchtopia. They don't know. They don't care. Okay. The client may just say, "Oh, I like the script that you used in another photo or something that they've seen," and they'll refer to one of my other baby ensembles, but they don't know what the font is called. But I usually will include it on the embroidery service contract. I also would recommend that you include special details, which is very important. The special details could be if they are providing the item to you. Okay, so if you're embroidering on a tee or a onesie or a sweatshirt or whatever, even a towel, is the customer providing this item to you? And if they are, you want to put that on your embroidery service contract, okay? You also want to put the value of the item as well, all right? Because if you don't do that, and let's say, for example, they provide you with a blanket, and you don't put the value of the item on your embroidery service contract, what can happen is, let's say, for example, there's a misalignment and for some reason it got messed up and you have to go back to the customer. Now they can say, well, this blanket was worth $180 for a blanket that you clearly knew that they probably didn't pay no more than $20 from it from Target. Okay, so we'll get into outside orders later on, but right now we're just talking about your service contract. So you want to also include, if the item is going to include a logo, that's called an special detail as well, because all those little things matter, especially if you are adding it in addition to your embroidery services. Now, with the embroidery service contract, both parties are responsible. Okay, so you always want to know what the customer expectations of you are, and they should know, right? But it also informs them of what their requirements are. So let's talk about payment. Okay, your embroidery service contract should also have payment details as well. All right, because that is very important. There's so many avenues of the embroidery service contract that's important, but how they pay you, how much they gave you is very important as well. So when we start talking about deposit, you want to put the balance, you want to put the deposit up there, you want to talk about how they paid you and so forth. So if this is via PayPal, if this is cash, if you accept checks, I don't accept checks, but if you accept checks, you want to put that up there as well. All right. And if there is a balance that needs to be paid, you want to include that balance and tell them a date of when that balance needs to be paid. For me, nothing ships from my studio if the balance is not paid, and I give them a date that the balance needs to be paid so it can arrive to them on the date that they are expecting, okay? Which is another thing. I know in the other video that was lagging, we talked about dates. We talked about dates that are on your embroidery service contract, and I had summed it up that there could be 3 dates or there could be 2 dates, okay? Now, the 2 dates. The 2 dates could be just the date that they are ordering, okay, so they are making the request, and the due date. Those are the most important dates that are going to be on your embroidery service contract. If there are going to be 3 dates, you want to talk about the date that they're ordering, the date that is due, and the date that it actually shipped or left your studio. Okay, and then that third date isn't really that important because technically, like I said before, if you have a shipping label, it's going to be date stamped anyway, but it just kind of helped you kind of know what's going on, and it gives you a time frame of everything that's going on. But the most important date is the due date. You want to make sure that you are meeting the customer's deadlines, okay? And so the next thing that I also want to talk about is policies. All right, now people, I gotta tell you what, this is where embroidery business owners get a little bit uncomfortable with. They don't necessarily like to discuss policies with their client. That is almost the most important thing that you can discuss with your client is the policy. They have the right to know what happens if they change their mind. They have the right to know that you're not going to give them their money back if it's a non-refundable deposit. They have the right to know what responsibilities or accountabilities you're going to hold them accountable for making this order and kind of wasting your time. So you want to be clear without having that verbal confrontation. Make sure that it's on your embroidery service contract, okay? And this can help you so many times fight with the credit card company that will side with you, and in the event that you had to take legal action and file a small claim in civil court or small claims court, that contract will help you in so many different ways, especially if you have a policy in place. Because if you don't have a policy in place, it leaves loopholes for conflicts. All right. And because once again, I had mentioned that, if you have a situation where someone is ordering a baby blanket, you embroider it, they pay PayPal, and you send them an invoice, and you don't include anything in the terms and conditions that PayPal provides for you. They can get the blanket, decide, what? They don't like it, send it back to you and call PayPal. And guess what will happen? More than likely, PayPal will side with them because you never made it clear that your services were final sale services, and that it was customized items that were non or unsellable again. Can't be resold again. And so if they didn't know, then they didn't know. And that would be your fault if they didn't know. All right, so let's talk about samples of embroidery service contracts and how they look. Okay, so we already know that mine look like this. It's more uniform, it's more detailed. It talks about, the details of the order, and then it also talks about, my policies and so forth. And I'm not going to get into this only because I did a video on my embroidery service contract. So if you want to see how detailed my embroidery service contract is, I will post the link below. I want to talk about an embroidery service contract that I have made for one of my embroidery mentoring students. Okay, now the one thing that I will tell you that I've said before, that your embroidery service contract needs to be customized according to your embroidery services that you provide. Okay, so that means that if you are a mentoring student and I am the one that is making this embroidery service contract to you, yours is not going to look like this because this may not work for you. All right, this works for me according to my experiences and how I run my business. You might need something different. And so what I have found is when mentoring students are getting up to the space, they get nervous because they think that I'm going to make up something that looks like this. And they're like, oh gosh, Candy, I don't know about that report. Embroidery service contract you have looks like a report. No, I don't make it look like that. Again, these services are customized for them. And if you're not in the embroidery mentoring program, but you wanted to customize an embroidery service contract for you, this is what you can do. You want to, once again, have your information included on the embroidery service contract. Your information should include a way that the customer can get in touch with you. You want to have a date, the date that they are ordering the embroidery service, the date that the embroidery service item is due. You also want to have clear details on what they are ordering, okay? You want to have payment information. You also want to have policy information, and you want to have anything else that is pertinent or pertaining to your embroidery services. And so when we were making this embroidery service contract for my mentoring student, we started off with this, which is a blank form. All right, and then I turned it into this. Okay, now a service contract like this for me would not work, but because the majority of the majority of her customers are law enforcement, law enforcement officers. This is a situation that works out perfectly for her. Okay, now she does do other embroidery services, but we needed something specifically for those law enforcement individuals. Okay, and because she does tees and she does polos and she does sweatshirts, we needed to include that here. So there's an option here where the officers can check which garment that they want, and then there's a clear understanding and instruction. It's visual instruction, and it's also a manual instruction, meaning they can read how they're supposed to fill out this order form. It gives them an area where they can select size, where they can include the garment that they want right here, if they're going to order it for a kid size or an adult size. It also gives them an area for the embroidery request. So on one side, they can have, let's say, the embroidered badge. On the other side, they can have the personalization of what they want, right? And then it also talks about her rush fees. It also talks about shipping fees, if there are, and even talks about discounts. Okay, the most important thing is on this order form down below right here, okay, we get the customer to commit, and in her brief policy states all sales are final, no refunds, no returns, no exchanges, no store credit. By signing below, you are agreeing to our store policy. All right, so this don't look like this, okay? And so what I'm saying to you is my embroidery service contract can be a sum of 3 pages, 4 pages, depending on how large the ensemble is, opposed to a 1-page order form. Okay, and that's another thing too. So you see how we changed the jargon. We use the language order form. We didn't use embroidery service contract, but it both is the same thing. Okay, and so you can play with words. If you feel better saying order form, if you feel better saying statement, if you feel better saying contract, say what you need to say to just get them to sign and commit. On mine, I don't say embroidery service contract. I say statement. Statement appears a little bit more friendlier, and people are more comfortable with that. And so when we talk about embroidery service contract, it protects me. It's going to protect her as well. All right? Because once again, she is saying that all sales are final. And so if there's a problem or something, then they would need to contact her, and she would have the right to fight with the credit card company in the event that a dispute arrived. All right, so I'm going to go down and just see who are here. I appreciate you all. I tell you what, I was getting a little so frustrated, but I appreciate you all just, hanging in there with me. And I'm going to go up and just say, hi, Susie. Quinique. Hi. Quinique, thank you so much. You were the one who actually gave me a heads up from the start that something was going wrong and that my camera was apparently rolling. I hope I wasn't doing anything crazy, but it was what it was. All right, Sandra is here. Hi, Sandra. We have Mrs. Phenomenal Creations number 13. She can see me. I hope she can hear me. We have Dawn here. Hi, Dawn. We have Susie Sarva. We have Sheila. I'm glad to be back here. We have Sharon and Pat. And we are in my room. I don't know why it works better in this room, but it seems to work better in this room. And hi, Pat from Nebraska. I don't know why it works better here, but when we were out there, it just didn't work. We have Mary Brooks. We have Hope Weaver. We have D Heart 25. We have RK Barnes. Hi, how are you all doing? I appreciate you all just joining in. And so I want to know now, though, what do you think about an embroidery service contract? How is your order form set up? Do you have an order form? All right, do you need help setting up an order form? What's going on with the agreement that you have with your embroidery services for your embroidery business, for your embroidery services with the client? How do you do that? Does it state your policy? All right, does it state exactly what the customer is supposed to be doing in regards to deadlines or commitments and so forth? So I would like to know what you all think about that, how you run your embroidery business. Okay, so I like to see what everyone is doing here. And Sheila, you said that it's very informative. Good. I'm glad that you found that is very informative, because that's the whole purpose of these live stream. That is very informative. So Anissa says, Anissa Sane says, I usually use PayPal invoices and I have a policy that I use in the summary slide. Awesome. Awesome. That's what you want to do. So this way, in the event that there is a dispute, PayPal is now going to go and review the contract agreement that you've made with the client. And so make sure you always include, I don't care if it's just the all sales are final, one sentence. You have to state something. Don't just leave it blank, because then they would have the right to say, I didn't know I couldn't get my money back. She never told me that. And they would be right. And so you always want to make sure that you have your policy stated on your embroidery service contracts. All right. Pat Brown says, where can you find samples? Where can you find sample services agreements? I am just starting. Well, you can download templates on the internet. However, what I would do is take a piece here, take a piece there, and just kind of put it all together. That's what I would do. You understand what I'm saying? But you can and start paying attention to when you're shopping online, what Amazon policies are, what Walmart policies are, so that's what I would do. Let's see. Hi, Eve. Eve just joined in. Eve says, have one. Just keep forgetting to use it with the customers. No, ma'am, Eve. No, ma'am. Because at the end of the day, let me just talk about forgetting. You know how I started remembering? When I started getting burned. Okay, when I started getting burned, okay, and when there is no contract in place, then people do have the right to withdraw. People do have the right to cancel. People do have the right to call the credit card company and try to get a charge back simply because they did not know. And, regardless to what their intentions are, if you were not clear, then you were not clear. Simple as that. And would they really be lying if there wasn't a contract in place and they called the credit card company and said, I called her and told her I didn't want the t-shirt that she embroidered for my 3-year-old because she charged me $35 and now I don't want it. And I want my money back, and she's telling me no. And the credit card company will look at the receipt, if there is a receipt, and say, well, you never told her that. What would be your argument? So, Eve, I would like to know. Eve. I'm posing that question to you, Eve, because you do a lot of baby stuff and custom stuff. So in the event, and even companies, I've seen that you do logos and stuff for companies. What would be your defense? In the event that someone wasn't pleased with the services, or they was just trying to get over, so they used the t-shirt and then wanted to return it because they thought maybe the price was too much or whatever, what would be your defense in the event that someone tried to get a refund or cancel services on you and they called the credit card company? What would be your defense? I would like to know that. I would like to know what will all of your defense be. Quinique says, great info. I'm going to do a pot holder. I do need a price list. I do lots of sublimation. Should I have different contracts? Well, you have to determine if everything can fit on the same form or not. All right. And so, for example, with this particular customer, I recommended that she have one service contract for the law enforcement officers, but a completely different service contract when she's doing, a t-shirt for a kid or a tote bag or something like that. But because she had such a high traffic of law enforcement officers, that's the bread and butter of her company. She needed something that specifically geared towards them. Now, this has nothing to do with her other embroidery services. For her other embroidery services, she would not use that order form. But for this particular, for these particular officers, she needed an order form specifically for them. Otherwise, it's kind of confusing when you're emailing, sending PDF files for people to print out. Okay, and so can you imagine her sending this and then it have areas for tote bags or baby blankets or hats or onesies? That has nothing to do with this. So she needed something that only talks about the services that she's providing specifically to them. And so you have to decide, if it's worth your while, if it's necessary to have all those things, or if it's necessary to have different contracts. All right. And so Sheila says, did you draw up your own policy or hire someone to draft it? Nope. I drew up my own policy. However, I do have a different service contract for private labeling, and that one was drawn up by an attorney. Okay, I actually have a very dear friend who is also an attorney, and I did draft it up and have her review it. And so I don't do a lot of private labeling these days, but I do have one in place that was drafted by an attorney. But the one that I used was clearly drafted by me, and honestly, it was drafted after incidences had occurred. Okay, and so pretty much everything that's on this last page is based on something that have happened previously before and that I will want to avoid from here on. All right. And so Sandra Phillip says, I do, but it's blank and I fill it out. Need ideas for each thing I do. Quilting, embroidery, baskets. So Sandra, you already know I got you covered on that. And so we'll talk about that later. Okay. And then let's see. RK Barnes says, absolutely essential to have a contract with a commitment. Absolutely. Quanique says phone, pages, apps have good templates. Absolutely. The baby's booty says so far cash. You know what I don't accept? I don't accept checks, except if it's from a company. All right, because the hospital, you have to accept a check. But for the most part, I don't accept checks. I try not to accept checks. So I don't accept checks. I really don't like checks. To be quite frank, if customers, they really shouldn't pay checks if they could help it, because it really doesn't give them much room for protection. You all saw what happened in the group Embroidery Boss. A company paid with the check. The alignment was crooked. And then the embroidery business owner was like, I'm not going to even answer your calls and so forth. So checks is a bit much. It doesn't provide much protection at all. All right. And then Sheila Cushionberry says, I have been burned by more people that I consider friends than random. Yep. We talked about that before. And, service contracts, I have a service contract for everyone gets a receipt, including my mom. So if my mom orders something from her neighbor whose granddaughter's having a baby, my mom is registered in my system as well, with discounts and all, but my mom gets a service contract and all, because business is business. Treat it as such. All right. And so Sandra says that she uses PayPal and Etsy for contracts for those products. As long as you have one in place, really. As long as you have one in place, that's all that you really need. You just need a contract in place. D Hart 25 says, I just have an invoice booklet, but definitely need something more detailed that I can send via text or email. So D Hart 25, if you're interested, send me a message or something. And I'm not asking you to join my mentoring program, but maybe I can at least help you out some way, somehow, if you need a form or if you need something more detailed or oriented, if you just need a generic form or something like that. Otherwise, you all can really do this yourself. Just kind of pull things off the internet and combine it together, that kind of thing. Stella Bird says, do you have someone who helps you get your orders together? No, but I do plan to hire someone in September. I currently do not. I just actually quit my job almost a month ago. I'm 3 weeks as a full-time CEO again. And I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Now, I did have a lot of things going on. My son got married last week. I also was closed 3 days last week, which meant I didn't realize how crazy I would be this week. But yeah, I do plan to hire someone, so I'm just hoping that it will work out, because it's hard. I run a business from my home, so allowing someone to come in my home, everybody got to be on board, and that everybody means my husband. And so yeah, but that's the plan. But no, I do it all together, which is one of the reasons why I had to develop a system. My outside of the embroidery service contract, okay, if we go back to my embroidery mentoring program, and I know I talk about it a lot, but I just want to kind of tell you the order of things. Okay, so in phase 4, we talk about embroidery service process. And then in phase 5, we talk about embroidery service contract. All right. Forget the service contract for now that we're talking about. Forget this. If you don't have an embroidery service process in place, your contract is going to be all over the place. You need to have a service process. So that means that from the time that the customer makes initial contact with you, or you contact the customer, or they find you on the internet, Etsy, your website, Facebook, whatever, what happens then? How do you process the sale? What happens at that point? I have a protocol in place, all right, because I am a one-man team. I need order. You also want to have a service process in place because in the event that you have someone help you for a weekend, like a niece or a granddaughter or something like that, you don't want them all over the place because you're unorganized. And so, you know, it's just so important to have these processes and strategies in place because it does make your life easier. And what happens is, and I actually was just telling a mentoring student this, not yesterday, Wednesday, I had said to her, once you learn your protocol, things will just run so much smoothly. You won't have to think about how do I handle this sale or because every sale is ran exactly the same. You will have so much of a unified thing of what you do in your embroidery business that you won't be all over the place. So I have my service process in place. I have my service contracts in place. This is the way it's supposed to be done. So now when I do get someone coming into my studio, it will be much easier to work with them, to train them, because that's the way it's done. All right, and then Susie Sarver says, wow, I make handbag, dog clothes, and now start embroidering. Good, Susie, I'm glad. And then GA Girl in Carolina says, yes, I'm back. I am back. RK Barnes asks, checks at ordering, not for balance due or COD orders. I don't do COD orders. No. I'm not sure if that's what you're saying that you do, but I don't do COD orders. Because everything is personalized and customized. People can change their mind. Listen, embroidery services, whether it's my embroidery services or your embroidery services, they're not cheap services. They're not. You know, they're not cheap services. Even if someone underprices it, it's still really not cheap. You're still providing a service, okay? And so people need to know what they're paying for, right? And so Sandra says, I love the idea of protocol. Good, Sandra. I'm glad you like that. Good. All right. And then when I have help come in, it will run smoother. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It will run smoother because you won't have to think about how am I supposed to be doing this and how. No. There's nothing to think about. First of all, you will see that as your embroidery business grows, there will be so many things to remember. And you are human. You will forget. And so what happens is if you have everything set up the way it's supposed to be set up, there is no thinking about it. And so what happens is these statements used to take me way too long to generate. But once I actually got my service in place, somebody wants to order a basket. What's in the basket? Boom, boom, boom. All I got to do is press it. Now, for this order was the little basket that had the bunny ears and the onesie, the bib, and the lined basket with the personalization. All right, all I had to do was click on 7-inch bunny with ears personalization. The next one, basket with personalized liner. Everything that was in it and all the information is here. And all I have to do is fill in the personalized request. So it's not like I'm typing everything all the time. It's already programmed in my computer that way for the information that I know that I'm going to be using. And so it makes everything run much, much, much more smoothly. All right. And so Quinique says, organization or marketing been my challenge with job. Okay, it is, but it's all in time management as well, which is also part of the embroidery mentoring program. I know I talk about it all the time. However, time management, that's one of the later phases. I mean, that is like phase 11, I want to say phase 12, time management. Because really, if you don't have a service contract in place, if you don't have a service process in place, if you don't have good marketing, if you don't have good promotion, if you don't have good client presentation, if you don't have a product line development, which is all those phases before time management is not going to even matter. So that's one of the latter phases. All right, and so Let's see. Sheila says protocols are invaluable in the nursing profession as well as any profession. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why you will see the value of it. If it wasn't something that wasn't beneficial, then companies like hospitals wouldn't use it. They would see it as a waste of time. But if they have a protocol in place and this is what you are expected to follow each and every time, there is no room for questioning. This is what you're supposed to do. That's it. And obviously, if you're new on the job, you don't know the protocol. But as you get to know the job, you're doing the job over and over and over again. Guess what? The protocol comes naturally. And when you are not following the protocol and something goes wrong, someone can hold you accountable in the nursing field or another company and says, okay, what's the protocol? Or you didn't follow the protocol. And so protocols are extremely important, and like I said, it doesn't have to be that involved like a hospital's protocol, but it needs to be customized towards your embroidery business. It needs to be. We're not playing here. We all said that we were running businesses, right? Now, I know that we're running different levels of businesses, but we need to run it as such. Simple as that. And so that's why it's really important. It's really important. All right, and so let's see. Let's see what everyone else is saying here. I really appreciate you all joining back with me, coming back in, especially with this situation with the camera. All right. And so, someone had asked earlier about having different protocols for different services that you have in your embroidery business. And in regards to what I was saying, that if you can fit everything on one form, then do it. For me, I'm a little bit more uniform. So, for example, I have a service contract for my embroidery business. Then I have a service contract for my sewing students, especially at the fact that because they're in my home. So I need to make sure. I'm not going to be giving sewing workshops here until the holidays come around. But for the most part, I had the parents sign a service contract in regards to a kid falling and a waiver contract, or if somebody gets sick and needs to be rushed to the hospital, I can at least escort them to the hospital, that kind of thing. And so that one was a little bit more involved because we were talking about kids and we were talking about safety and what would be best or how the parents would want me to handle certain things, okay? And so that kind of thing didn't include embroidery because it had nothing to do with embroidery. Now that I'm going to be offering new services, in the other video, you saw that I had showed you guys my heat press, okay? Well, you know what? I'm going to play with it. And once I decide to really incorporate it in my embroidery business, I think that I'll have a different a service contract for that as well, depending on how involved it is. I'm not really sure yet, but because I know that I'll be offering plates and personalized cell phone cases and mugs, and so that has nothing to do with garments. So I have to decide how I'm going to incorporate that. But you'll see the videos of me playing with it because this is not something that's going to be incorporated in next week. Maybe by September 1st if I could play with it enough, but for the most part, I'm going to be trying to do what I can to play with it so I can incorporate it as soon as possible. Baked Bean says, pricing is my biggest challenge. Renita, the baby shower place. Well, Baked Beans, I'm not sure why pricing is your biggest challenge. Is it your biggest challenge because you don't know how to price or you don't feel comfortable pricing? So what is the challenge? I need a little bit more information. Sheila says, so when starting out, did you purchase embroidery designs in advance and then offer those available choices? Or did you take orders and then buy the designs to fit? Okay. And so when I started out, I did purchase some embroidery designs because I used to love the idea of trying out new embroidery designs. But that was also during a time that I had to do samples and stuff too. Which is one of the reasons why the embroidery report card was made. I don't have time to do test stitches. Okay. And so right now I have thousands. When I tell you thousands of embroidery designs, I have thousands of embroidery designs that I have accumulated both from purchasing before I even had orders and purchasing when I had orders and the customer requested a particular theme or something, I had to go back out and look for it. And so, and I still will do that. If there is something that the customer is sending me, especially now, people are more so customized. They send me a picture of a cake and they want me to match the cake, and I know I don't have a design to match the cake. I'll go out and purchase a design for them. But for the most part, I do have a database with thousands of embroidery designs that I have purchased previously before getting orders, and purchased while I had orders coming in. All right. And then Stella Bird says, yes, I offer a number of crafts, and the challenge is keeping it all together. What do you mean, as an organization? Because you can keep it all together. Like for me, I mean, the way my studio was set up, I can offer sewing lessons. Gonna be the heat press thing. I'm gonna be, doing the heat press, embroidery services, workshops. So you just need organization, that's all, and you can kind of manage it, because the only thing is you will be addressing it when the time is supposed to be addressed. Okay. And then RK Barnes says, checks are for full invoice. Checks clear before delivery, or credit card or cash for balance. Good. I just don't deal with checks altogether. That's just my preference. But it's not a bad idea. It's still a form of payment. Eve says, I do cash up front. No exceptions. What about credit cards or debit cards, Eve? Because if I was your customer, I'm telling you, my sister laughs at me all the time because I only have $2 in my purse. $2. I got my debit card, though. I have my credit card. But cash, $2. I have $2. That's it. $2. I don't carry cash. And so, if I came to your place to order something, would I have to come back? Could you not send me an invoice, an electronic invoice? Because we might have to have a little private talk about that, Eve. Never turn away the money. Okay, so what about new customers? Who don't know, Eve? So I get that your customers do know, but what about customers who don't know? So, like, for example, if somebody saw one of your baby bibs, not an ensemble, they saw a bib on a baby, and they said, oh my goodness, this bib is so cute. And they said, oh, Eve from the Baby's Booty, she did the bib for me. And they said, okay, I'm gonna call her because I have a baby shower I'm going to. And that was the extent of the conversation. And they call and they place an order. Now you have the responsibility of telling them, which you can. That's not a problem. But what I'm saying is, don't rely on your customers to dictate what your policy is. It's your responsibility. So that's what I'm saying. So the credit card thing is a fool. How is that a fool? No, ma'am. Credit card people, and I hate to say this online, but I'm going to tell you the truth. First of all, I want everybody to stop and listen to exactly what I'm going to say. And Eve, I want you to consider this. Here is the truth, the raw truth. People pay credit cards, debit cards quicker than cash. People add on more when they are paying credit card, debit card than cash. Have you ever been in the grocery store? All right, and you just start putting things in your grocery cart according to the list you may have, but then they may have some things on sale a little bit extra. And what do? You pull out your debit card if there's a $20 balance or something like that, right? If you have $100 in cash and there's a $20 balance, you are quick. But if you only have $100 cash, then you can't get that other stuff. Now, if you want a tight budget, that might be your strategy for staying within your budget. However, if you do have a little bit extra, you know that it's possible to get whatever they have on sale. So that means that if somebody comes into your studio, my studio, all right, and they tell me, you know what, Candy, I have a budget of $100. And I showed them, okay, you can get this, you can get this, you can get this, you can get this. And then they said, but that baby ensemble I saw on Facebook had this, this, and this. And I'm like, well, that one was a little bit more. And they said, well, how much more? Even if it's $40 more and they don't want to invest the $40 more, chances are I can downsize that additional $40 budget, add it to that $100 budget already, and I can get the the customer or upsell them at least $20 more. So they came into my studio to pay $100. They're not paying $140 now for the ensemble with added stuff, but then leaving spending $120. That would not be possible to tack that on if they did not have a debit or a credit card. And so don't be afraid by debit and credit cards, because people spend quicker, they add more when they have a credit card or a debit card. And so let's see. GA Girl in Carolina says, what is the easiest way to set up to take debit cards? You can do PayPal. It doesn't have to be that involved. Not at all. You can do PayPal. You can do PayPal. And so Baked Bean says, I'm just starting out. I sell a lot to my family and friends, but they campaign that my prices are too high. Because you have not presented yourself well enough. And I'm going to tell you real quickly what you should do, Baked Bean. Okay, so let's see. Let me grab something here. Let's say that you are selling these flowers, right? And you say these flowers are worth, these flowers, I'm selling them for $15. And they say, oh my goodness, I can go and get that from somewhere else for cheaper. You want to put them on the spot because it's your family and friends. Where? And then you want to show them that they can get it cheaper. You understand what I'm saying? So show them. So, for example, I'll show you an example. I'm just going to go off camera real quick. I have an order that my customer brought these into me yesterday. Okay? She brought this to me and this. Now, can you all see this? But I just want to make sure that I'm live streaming good. I want you to see what I'm doing here. Okay, look at the, she bought this from Walmart. All right, now this, I believe, let me see. Oh, this was $5.97 from Walmart. Okay, look at the embroidery on this. All right, first of all, it's very decent quality bibs. Okay, there's no embroidery on the back, so it looks like it's custom made. All right, they're terry cloth. You get 4 and you get a variety of colors, right? So my challenge is going to be, I have to make an ensemble where we are going to incorporate these bibs in the ensemble, right? Now, the thing about it really is, oh no, did I lose you guys again? I think I left you guys again. Oh no, I got you. Okay. So the thing I was saying is, I have to make an ensemble to incorporate these 4 items, right? Now, the thing about it is, these she got at Walmart for $5.97. However, everybody can go into Walmart and buy this. If your customers truly want personalized items, then that's what they will pay for. If they truly want customized items, that's what they will pay for. This is not a person that you want to compare prices with, because this is a person who is okay going to Walmart and buying items from Walmart. However, if somebody wanted a personalized item, I would tell them to go on the internet and research a price and then come back to you. So that's what I would do when people say that your prices are too high. I would just nicely encourage them to, do some price shopping, price shop you, and then come back. And if not, then maybe, you're okay with taking away turning down that customer, even if they are family members or friends. Alrighty, and so let's see. Quinique says, better get cash, check, phony money. You are right, my dear, because people do play tricks. So I'm glad that I'm coming through. It had stopped at 1 minute, and I thought I lost you guys again. And so let's see. Ruby West asks, what is my best seller? My best selling items are my baby ensembles. Not one particular set in particular, just baby ensembles. That's my niche. That's what I do. Actually, this customer, I actually had her come in. We did a consultation yesterday, and she said, I went on the internet, and she was looking for someone to do personalization, and, her coworker referred her to me after she saw what she was looking at, and she liked my style. And I thought, ooh, I didn't know I had a style, but she liked my style. And I thought, oh, okay. You can't get too crazy when people, come with those nice little words and stuff. Don't get too, high on your britches. So, we all have a style to us, especially if you have an embroidery machine. You can kind of copycat anybody's style, to be quite frank. But I just thought that I would add that to someone said, oh, she likes my style. All right. So Stella asked, your advice is good for all types of home businesses. Well, you know what? A lot of times the information that I'm giving is pretty generic and it can be applied to different home-based businesses. It just so happens that I'm so passionate about my embroidery business. And like I said, I've been burned so many times. I'm actually going to be doing a live chat on... And this was actually a request, but I'm going to be doing a live chat on sharing stories of when I was burned. So I don't know if people want to hear. I'm not trying to be negative, but it was what it was. It happened. It is what it is. So I'm going to be talking about that one day. And so Baked Bean said, I just got burned the other day. I didn't enforce my own policy. Okay. Which is 50% deposit and a balance before delivery. Last time doing that, contracts and money up front. All I'm going to do is clap. I'm not going to give you a big lecture. I'm just going to clap. Okay. And so that means you learned like I had to learn, Baked Bean. You've learned like I had to learn. So I'm glad that maybe that was a once and done kind of thing for you. Unfortunately, it took me two and a half years. Yeah, I was a slow learner. For some reason, I like those burns. It didn't burn enough. It didn't hurt enough. I just got tired. But I'm glad that it didn't take you as long as it took me, because let me tell you something. It financially hurt my business. I could have been much further along if I didn't allow people to burn me, to be quite frank. And so not having service contracts in place, not requiring deposits, not making sure people pay their balances before services were delivered. Talk about a multi-needle machine. I purchased a multi-needle machine 2 years after my business. Chances are, if I had enforced my contracts, or I had a contract in place, because I really didn't, you understand, I probably could have, because I had orders coming in. That wasn't the problem. I didn't have the money coming in. I could have probably been much more progressed than I was had I just had a system, a service, and service contracts in place. And so I'm glad that it didn't take you 2 years to learn. Quinique says, what size is your press? Make sure you know if it's set at Celsius or Fahrenheit. Quinique, let me tell you, you already know more than I know. But I do know I'm actually going to be getting another one. My husband didn't realize that this was happening, and so he actually placed an order for me to get a bigger one. So this one is a 12 by 15 because I wanted it to be the size of a onesie, like something that I could lay a onesie on. And the one my husband ordered for me is a 16 by 24. I'm not really sure why I need that big one, but I didn't say no, send it back. I just was saying, okay, I'll just wait for it. And so I'm going to need a lot of help. I'm going to be on YouTube looking up videos and stuff, and you're going to see me doing my thing and practicing with the heat press. And you're also going to see how I incorporate it in my embroidery business as well. I have a lot of ideas. That was actually one of the moves that I made in regards to blind spots that we'll talk about, because I've already got you guys at 52 minutes. We'll talk about that at another time. Anybody gonna be up? Because I'm going to log off, but if anybody's gonna be up, I know it's Friday and it's 10 o'clock. I can always come back on if anybody's gonna be up later on. Oh yeah, I do have a good hubby. He is awesome. He really is awesome. Very supportive. Don't understand my method sometimes or where I'm going with certain things, but he is very supportive, even though he still haven't worn my shirt. So yeah, I'm still on that. So Sheila says, sound like he is supporting you in other ways too. He still ain't wearing my shirt, Sheila. We ain't giving him that much credit yet. Yes, he is supportive, but not 100% because he ain't wearing my shirt. So we're going to say 99%. How about that? Okay. Quinique says, you do have a 16 by 20 check Condi for tutorial. Okay. And then Jane says, I can get back on. Susie says, I'll be up. Good. Sheila is laughing. Okay. All right. So if any of you don't have any more questions, though, I'll see you guys later. I'll see you later, Quanique. You know, see you later, Sheila, if you're up. I'll see you later, Janae or Janny. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Ruby says, I wish I could stay, but work is calling. Aw, yep. And then his, her, and Alwa says, thank you so much for your advice. You're welcome. And Sheila says, I'll be up later. Good. Good. So maybe you guys will also see the unboxing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the unboxing live. I'll try to do it on live so you'll see exactly what's in the box. I'll try to do it on live. But I don't even know, because that means I would have to be out there where the pours. No, I'm not doing that. That's going to be annoying. I'll just tape it and then upload it, but then I'll just come back live. All right, so I'll see you all later. Good night. Until later. Bye.